In this video session, we are going to talk about the role of laser in the biomedical applications. Today, we all know that laser is playing a very important role in the advanced biomedical domain, in the biomedical field. In everyday life, we hear a lot about the use of laser in various applications of the medical field, like the cataract operations or the kidney stone, operations, etc. So we have seen that laser is playing a very important role in the biomedical field today. So very quickly in this session, we are going to see that how the laser light is actually playing a very important role in the biomedical applications. So what is actually a laser? A laser is a device that emits light through a process of optical amplification based on the stimulated emission of electromagnetic radiation. The term laser originated as an acronym of light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Okay, so we usually use the word laser for the type of light, but actually laser is a device, okay, which emits a certain type of light rays. And the full form of laser is actually light amplification of stimulated emission of radiation. So there is a special kind of light rays that are given out by this device, which we called as laser light. Okay, so a laser differs from other sources of light in that it emits light which is coherent. Spatial coherence allows a laser to be focused to a tight spot, enable applications such as laser cutting and lithography. Spatial coherence also allows a laser beam to stay narrow over great distances, okay, which we call collimation. That phenomena is called collimation, enabling applications such as laser pointers. Okay, this of course we all know. Even in classes, sometimes you must have seen while giving presentations, etc. You must have seen that at times laser pointers are used. Okay, so if you put on the laser pointer, you see just one small spot on the screen in front. So basically that is nothing but a very coherent beam of light. Coherent means it is very narrow beam of light, or you can say a concentrated beam of light, which goes toward through a very long distance. Okay, that process we called as collimation. So which is very useful in the laser pointers. So lasers can also have a high temporal coherence, which allows them to emit light with a very narrow spectrum. That is, they can emit a single color of light. So geometry wise also we can have coherence, okay, and wavelength wise also, that is spectral coherence also we can have. That is, we can have a very narrow spectrum of light. When we say spectrum, in layman's language we can call it the color of light. So we can actually have a single colored light being emitted by the laser. Alternatively, temporal coherence can be used to produce pulses of light with a broad spectrum but durations as short as femtosecond. Okay, so either you can have single colored light with or a narrow beam of light, or you can have a broad spectrum light for short bursts of time. Okay, femtosecond is actually 10 raised to the power minus 15th of a second. That is femtosecond. So for with such short duration time, you can have bursts of light with the help of laser. So you can say that laser is nothing but a concentrated energy. Okay, light energy which is concentrated in a very small geometry. So when you use it for a particular application, you can actually have some great energy concentrated at one single spot. That is why it helps in laser cutting and lithography and so many other applications, right? So what happens when the laser beam actually falls on the tissue? Whenever the laser beam is projected on human tissue, five phenomena can take place: either reflection, transmission, scattering, re-emission, or absorption. Laser light interacts with the tissue and transfers the energy of photons to the tissue because absorption occurs. So any of these phenomena can take place whenever the light is actually projected on the tissues. Either it can reflect back, either it will get transmitted, or you can say if it is transparent, the substance is transparent, it will transmit. If either it could scatter, Okay, without any particular angle, it might scatter around. It could re-emission could take place, or the absorption of energy can take place by the cells of the tissue. So, a slow heating of muscle and other tissues is like cooking of a meat in everyday life. The heat induced the destabilization of the proteins and enzymes, and this is called coagulation. So, a laser heating of tissues above 50 degrees Celsius but below 100 degrees Celsius induces disordering of proteins and other biomolecules. This process is called photocoagulation. This is actually the one of the phenomena which we actually use while treating various problems in the medical domain with the help of laser. So when you actually subject a tissue to heat between 50 degrees and 100 degrees Celsius, the proteins, they get disordered, and they get destabilized, okay, the proteins and the enzymes, and this process is called actually coagulation. And when it is taking place because of the light, when you put a subject the laser light for heating, when you're using laser light for the heating of the tissues, we call it photocoagulation. When the lasers are used to photocoagulate the tissues during surgery, tissues essentially become cooked. Okay, they shrink in mass because water is expelled out. The heated region changes color and loses its mechanical integrity. The cells in the photocoagulated region die, and a region of dead tissues called photocoagulated burn develops, which can be removed or pulled out. So basically, the idea is that with the help of the laser light, when you transmit certain heating energy to those cells in a particular area, you can actually dry it out. The water gets expelled out, it becomes a very small shrinked mass of tissues, and it gets burnt. In a way, you can say it gets burnt, or you can say the cells, they die down, and that coagulated mass, that the shrinked mass can actually be pulled out from that region very easily. Okay, so that is the consequence of photocoagulation. Then the applications of photocoagulation can be for destroying the tumors, for treating the various eye conditions like retinal disorders caused by diabetes, etc. Hemostatic laser surgery, that is, bloodless incision, excision, due to its ability to stop bleeding during surgery. A blood vessel subjected to photocoagulation develops a pinched point due to shrinkage of proteins in the vessel walls. The coagulation restriction helps seal off the flow while damaged cells initiate clotting. Okay, so what happens is that if you have to stop the bleeding during surgery, you can use laser, or you can use the concept of photocoagulation. At one particular point, if you coagulate certain mass or certain proteins, when they shrink and become a point mass, they can actually help in stopping the bleeding during the surgeries, etc. Okay, and of course it can help in destroying tumors, because as I told you that the cells of that particular area, they get dried out and they get die down, they burn out, so the tumors can be burnt with the help of that. Then retinal disorders or the various eye conditions, they can be treated with the help of photocoagulation, because a lot of things that we see in the eyes, etc., are nothing but various kinds of proteins. Then we have another concept called photovaporization. With the very high power densities, instead of cooking, lasers will quickly heat the tissues to above 100 degrees Celsius. Water within the tissues boils and evaporates. Since 70% of the body tissue is water, the boiling change the tissue into a gas. This phenomena is called photovaporization. So, photovaporization results in complete removal of the tissue, making possible for hemostatic incision or excision, complete removal of thin layer of tissue, skin rejuvenation, resurfacing, etc. So basically, this is if you have a very high power density laser, it will quickly take the temperature above 100 degrees Celsius. In photocoagulation, we were using the laser of such a strength which can transmit the heat between 50 degrees to 100 degrees. In photovaporization, what we are doing is we are, very quickly using a density of light. Very quickly, we are raising the temperature to above 100 degrees Celsius. And since a lot of tissues, etc., in 70% of the tissue is water, so that boils off. In it becomes a gas, because above 100 degrees the tissue, the water within the tissues is going to evaporate. Okay, so since 70% of the body tissue is water, the boiling it changes the tissue into a gas. Okay, so that is basically helping us in complete removal of a tissue from a particular area, which helps us in complete removal of thin layers of tissues, which is very useful, especially in dermatological applications like skin rejuvenation, etc. So the conditions for photovaporization are, the tissue must be heated quickly to above the boiling point of water. This requires very high intensity lasers, a very short exposure time, say no time for heat to, it has to be highly spatial coherence of lasers over other light sources is responsible for providing higher intensities. So basically, a very, very short exposure time is to be used over here, so that it does not transmit the energy to any surrounding area of the desired location, so that the unwanted tissues, they don't get burnt out. So basically, very very high intensity lasers are required, and very high spatial coherence is required. That means the focus of your laser should be very very refined, so that a very high intensity is transmitted at a very localized point, only to burn out or remove the tissues that are damaged or which are actually required to be removed, and the surrounding area actually does not get affected. So a laser, we know that in ophthalmology, we have a lot of usage in the eye treatments. For cornea and lens, UV light emitted by the excimer laser is strongly absorbed by water and proteins. So their energy can be absorbed by transparent cornea and lens, permitting laser surgery on these areas. Cataracts, a very very important and common application of laser is there for cataract removal. A milky structure in the lens of the eye is called, that is a cataract. Photovaporization by using UV laser to remove the opaque regions. Correction of myopia, over focusing of the lens. Excimer laser removal of the over focus of cornea. It can make it flattened. So in ophthalmology, there is a lot of use of laser in the correction of various eye diseases. Different kinds of intensities of light can be of laser light can actually be used for the eye treatments. Then in beauty therapy, of course, laser has a very wide variety of applications. Laser applications in beauty therapy are based on selective absorption of absorbing components, photovaporization process for removal of the treated components. Pulsed lasers are used in this. So skin rejuvenation is one particular type of application. The IR lasers are used to remove extremely thin layer of skin. In the absence of pigment in general, they take advantage of the presence of water in the skin to provide an ability to remove skin and body tissues. So, like we told that 70% is of the tissue is water. So, when you have very high intensity of laser and the heat goes above 100 degrees Celsius, you can actually remove a very very thin layer of tissue from the top. Okay, and the damaged cells or the damaged tissues can actually be removed from the skin. Then we can have laser hair removals. This is by selective absorption. Absorbing component being melanin pigment in hair and follicle. It is best work with the red light UV laser. White hair cannot be treated with any laser due to the lack of absorbing component. So basically, the hair follicle has a tendency of absorbing certain particular kind of light. If you subject it to that light, it will remove the hair. Okay, but we say that white hair does not is not treated because it cannot have that absorbing component. So removal of hair is also one of the applications of laser. So then again, laser removal of port wine stain. Port wine stain, as you can see from the figure, these are stains on your skin. They can be treated with lasers. Excess blood vessels just under the outer layer of the skin. You can see this is the reddish patch that you see. This is nothing but excess blood vessels just under the outermost layer of the skin. Okay, that's the left figure that you see. So these absorb yellow laser light, which destroys the red blood vessels. because the beam is delivered in brief pulses, the tissues are other tissues are undamaged. Okay, so yellow laser light is absorbed by the presence of hemoglobin in the blood vessels. In the left figure, you see a lot of unwanted blood vessels are present under the skin. So when you subject this to a yellow laser light, it actually gets burnt out. The hemoglobin, it absorbs yellow light, and it gets burnt out, and that pigmentation is removed. And because it is used for a very short pulse of time, then the surrounding areas or the other tissues, they are actually not, they remain undamaged. So you can see that there is such a huge amount of applications of laser. Other than these are just some but popular ones. You can find a lot of other applications of laser, basically because it is a source of very high energy in a very concentrated zone. Okay, so these are the two important factors. It can deliver high energy, but at a very spotted or a localized region, because of the controlled geometry of the laser. That is what we call coherence. So these are the two things that are very, very important properties of the laser light, which make them very important in the various kinds of applications in the biomedical field.